Dave Butler.
Hello Ken, how are you? It's very nice to see you, nice to be here. Are you going to ask me some nice, interesting questions on this lovely, soggy day?
I am, certainly. First one concerns your career to date. Now, I know you from the Comedians TV show. Yeah. Is that where you really became a big name?
Well, I wouldn't say a big name, but that was the first time I was featured well on television. I had 22 appearances on that show, which unfortunately finished in 73 or 4. And I went everywhere that the show went. We went on tour for almost 1 year, spending 5.5 months at the London Palladium, which of course was a tremendous experience, doing 13 shows a week at the world's #1 theatre. So that's something which lots of artists of every type aim for, and once you've done it, nobody can take it away. And the nice thing is I've been back. I went back with the 3 Degrees, did a show with them at the Palladium. So I've done something like 390 shows at the Palladium.
Which is a record to be equal, isn't it?
It's quite something, isn't it? It's by no means a record, but it's quite something. Yes, it's quite that.
Working in those days at the Comedians, who were the comedians in that particular era on that show that you worked with?
On the show was Ken Goodwin, Mike Reed, Bernard Manning, Josh White, and myself. That's right. Ken Goodwin, Mike Reed, Bernard Manning, Josh White, myself, Charlie Williams. I knew I'd left one out. That was the 6-hour show, yes.
What did you do when the show decided to pack up? Did you have a lot of offers of work pouring in, or did you have to go out and start doing the clubs to make yourself well known outside the Comedians?
No, I had a reasonable amount of work in, and I've always been very fortunate to do theatres as well as clubs. But it's best to keep your hand in the two, because the approach is entirely different. Theatre people go to watch the show, they sit in rows and they're there to be entertained. Sometimes in a club, they're not always there to be entertained, they sometimes try and do the entertaining themselves. Therefore you get the barrackers, and they shout things out, but you can always put them down fairly easily, because you're a professional, and they're not.
You're currently working at the Heatherton Grange, which, if you'll pardon the expression, if I describe it as a small, intimate atmosphere compared to a lot of places. Do you prefer working those types of places?
Definitely. Oh yes, if you work a big ballroom where you're one in a vast arena, it could be terrible. I had an experience of this. I did a holiday camp this year, and I worked in the ballroom, and I can assure you it was murder, because people were walking around all over the place, the kids were running around. Nobody really knew I was on. But if you get a small, intimate, nice atmosphere, that's the place to work, definitely.
Anything that you're looking forward to in the future? Anything special coming up for you?
Well, I'm going into, when I finish at Heatherton Grange, I do, on Saturday, I'm doing 2 jobs this Saturday. I'm very pleased to be going back to the Bristol Hippodrome with my very good friends the Wurzels, who I've worked so much with these last 2 years. That I'm looking forward to, because I was with them last year at the Hippodrome, and I was also down here at Taunton with them. And then I have a few days off before I start pantomime rehearsals. I'm going to the King's Theatre at Southsea with Roger de Courcy, Nookie the Bear, my good pal Squire Ronnie Hayward, myself. It's Dick Whittington and his wonderful cat. And I wrote it. I wrote every word of it. It took me 10 weeks to write it. I've never written a pantomime before. I've written some sketches. I've written situation comedy. I've written for Roger de Courcy and Nookie the Bear lots of times. I wrote for his Royal Command performance, I think that was the year before last, and Wednesday at 8 for him. But I've never written a pantomime. This is the first one. So now I'm going to see how all the actors use my script, and see if they use it as I see it or as they see it. Maybe if they do it as they see it, it'll come off a lot better.
Who knows? You never know. I mean, if they work it out so that in fact it becomes a hit, you could in fact end up like, I know Squire Ronnie Hayward does as much writing these days as he does appearing.
Yes, he does, yes.
So this may be something in the future you may think of doing if it sort of comes off,
Yes, when he turns up.
Thinking about yourself now, you are a West Country comedian in
right.
effect, born in the West Country.
Yes.
Yeah. You base yourself up in Blackpool though.
Well, that was a matter of having to, because when I came into the business as a professional, going back 1959, I went away. I was a redcoat at Butlin's holiday camp, and from then I've never come out of the profession. Not that you can really class yourself as a professional all those years ago, because you're just learning, you're just getting on the bottom rungs of the ladder. And the reason I lived in the north, because the work was almost nil here, in the south, really was. I'm not talking about London, of course, but I'm talking about nightclub work, and club work, and theatre work was very, very little in this part of the world. So I had to go to the north where all the work was, you see. Married to a northern girl, and I've got 2 girls. They're roots, they're settled, but I am looking to move back, and I've been looking for over a year at houses in and around the West Country, because now I'm working down this part of the world.
And also the communication's much better down here now. You can sort of you can reach places far quicker than
definitely. Oh yes, absolutely.
I know you like football.
Yes. Well, my brother-in-law plays for Bolton Wanderers. Did I tell you that?
Well, I think a year ago you did.
Yes. Yeah. And well, last season they did tremendous, and I watched them as many times as I possibly can. He plays right back. His name's Peter Nicholson, and they won the 2nd division. And this year they're they're one of the strongest teams of the 1st division, because they're holding most of the rest up. But I think they'll survive, and I don't think they'll go down, because they're playing too well, and they've had a lot of bad luck this year. And I follow Bristol City, of course.
Yes, I was going to say you must have an allegiance there.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I follow Bristol City. They played Bolton the other week, and my heart was torn in two. But Bristol City won. They won 4-1, and I felt sorry for my brother-in-law, but there you go. Oh yes, I like football very much. Oh, I can't wait on a Saturday. Wherever I am, I go and see it, or you know, if I'm driving, I got it on all the time.
What other ways do you relax?
I do a bit of cine filming, the kids now mostly, and holidays, and I made a western actually. I did a 25-minute western just for fun with a few pals. That was quite fun. We put some sound on it. I don't play golf like a lot of the artists do. I never played golf. I can't see the sense in knocking that little ball all over the place and then walking after it. I run. I didn't today because of the weather, but I try to run 2 to 3 miles each day.
That's something I didn't know.
Oh yeah, I've done it. I've been around Bradford-on-Tone a couple of times this week. Yeah.
Well, I assure everybody listening that in fact it's not the hostile audiences around here that make you do it.
Oh no. I like to. I can think. It clears my head a lot running, you know, and I can think a lot clearer, especially if I'm writing a script. It really can. I read somewhere that it helps you think, and whether it's psychological, but I'm sure it does. Yeah. I can. And once you get up to the 2 mile stage, or up to just over, I find that you don't get out of breath anything like as much as when I started doing it a couple of years ago. And if you get thinking about something, you forget you're running.
It's the in thing now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Jogging.